hear me? We good? Okay, hello. I'm gonna get started. I don't want to waste your time. I'm Miss Voller. I've been teaching 6th grade science for 22 years here. I know I don't look old enough. All right, I've been here a long time, and this project has been going on for probably 40 at this school. Now, we have changed it and tweaked it over the years a little bit, made it better, but when I started 22 years ago, they were doing the Invention Convention. So it's one of those projects that's kind of lost, it's kind of a tradition, but it's a really good project for your kids to do because it makes them problem solvers, which we all need to be in this world. Hello, Miles, come on in. All right, so we're gonna get started. The packet of information you guys got in front of you, your child got today in their science class. The same spiel I'm giving you now, they got today in science. Does that make sense? And I have a student, Derek, thank you very much, Derek. He is recording this, so if you need to refresh, it'll be on my website, which you all got a link to on email, probably by tomorrow. Maybe not tonight, I might be a little tired. But I gotta switch it to my YouTube channel and stick it on there. So we'll get it on there by tomorrow, okay? So if you need to see this again. But hello again, I'm Miss Fuller. Some of your kids have Miss Acosta for Spanish Science or Miss Ruth. We are doing this as a whole 6th grade collaboration. So if they are in Spanish, they do not have to do it in Spanish, it'll be in English. So that's a little break for them because it's a whole 6th grade project. So we're gonna start here. On the first page, that was highlighted for the kids, but it's just some information. Basically, this project is to get your kids to do real world problem solving. So we want them to solve a problem and create a working model that solves that problem. So it can be a very simple problem. I always tell them, look at a paperclip. It's a piece of metal folded. I mean, whoever invented the paperclip in the 1800s, they're a genius, okay? So it can be a very simple problem. We encourage you guys to be a part of this project. It is mostly done at home. Starting today, they have about a little more than a month to get it done. Each science teacher will check in with the kid every week to see how they're doing, if they need more support, if they need anything from us. We can let them print on our printers, give them like school supplies. I have some other supplies if they need it. But really this is done at home with your support. Now that doesn't mean you do it for them, hint. But like if you need to use tools or a sewing machine or something, we want you to support them with that. And we want you to be involved in this inventing process because it could get frustrating for them. It's all about trial and error sometimes, okay? So we do want your support. These are the guidelines. They're gonna have inventor's logs, which we're gonna get into, a display board, which you guys see up here. And they have to have the working model, which solves a problem. So most of your kids will do what's called an innovation, not a true invention. Innovation is like this shoe compass here. So this kid's problem was he always got lost hiking. Okay, so how did he solve it? He put a compass in his shoe. Never had a problem again finding his way. But again, it's an innovation. He took two things and put them together. So your kids will probably do a lot of innovations, which is fine. They're not true inventions, but we call them inventions. So that's an innovation, okay? So the shoe compass. And then, so they have to create a working model, and we're gonna talk about the log sheets. This is all due on May 3rd. So Wednesday, May 3rd is the day. We basically take over the cafeteria, the whole 6th grade, and we put all the projects in here, and we have to eat outside that day. Oh, wow. But it's okay. And then that evening, we have a family night where you guys can come and look at them. They do get judged. My old science teacher partner, I call her my science sister, she now does special ed preschool. She comes back and she is one of the judges. She doesn't know any of your children, so it's completely unbiased, and she judges. We give out 10 first place, 10 second, and 10 third place ribbons. They're being made at House of Trophies right now. All your kids will get a green participation ribbon as well for participating. We also give out honorary mention awards. And we've given out some environmentally friendly awards for ones that are more environmentally friendly. We've even given out some humanitarian awards. I had a student who created a backpack that turned into a bed and a tent for a homeless person. So that was a humanitarian award. So we actually gave it to a homeless person when he was done. So again, we give out the ribbons plus some of the awards that I just spoke of. And the judges judge first thing in the morning. I don't judge, that would not be right. I just focus on the grading, okay? And so it's all due on the 3rd. We have a parent night. Now the display boards. Our fabulous PTO bought us 100 of these different colored display boards here. I have 25 red, yellow, black, white, green, and blue. Now blue and black go fast. I do not reserve boards, sorry. We're gonna sell, it's optional if you wanna buy them. The money goes back to the PTO. We're selling to families for $4 a pop. So if your child wants to go that route, you can, or you can purchase your own. If you cannot afford a board, they just have to have a conversation with me and they get a free one, of course. So that's not an issue, okay? And I will be selling a few tonight. I don't have all 100 down here. I wasn't gonna haul them all down, sorry. But if they don't get one today, they can get one tomorrow. I will be selling them before school if I don't have a meeting, at lunchtime and after school. And then if your kid has me in class, I'll sell them at the end of the period. And what I do is I put their name on the back of it during the day and I just hold on to it and they pick it up at the end of the day. Okay? So these are all the options, and like I said, all the money goes back to the PTO. All right, next page. This is kind of the same information as the first page, but the most important part is the part circled in red down below. This is where you have to sign, your kid has to sign, you have to date it. This tells me that I know that you know that they know that we know that I know that you know that I know, and all our butts are covered. It's kind of like insurance. So that you know about the project, I know about the project, the kid knows about the project, and then I keep the signature as verification. Does that make sense? So I kind of tell the kids it's like project insurance. And so that needs to be signed and returned. I would say by Friday, if possible, to their science teacher, whether it's me, Miss Acosta, or Miss Ruth. Okay? And if you don't return it signed, you're going to get phone calls from your kid during class, or from me, or emails. I mean, I'm going to kind of hound you for the signature. No offense, but I got to have it, so I'm kind of covered too. Okay? That you know about the project. So we appreciate if you get it signed and returned. The next page, page 3, and my clicker is not working. Oh, there we go. Oh, yay. Okay, I might need a new battery, sorry. This is what needs to go on the display board. So I'm gonna go over some of this in a minute, but the big thing is the title of their invention, their name, and yes, they get points for putting their name on the board. I can't tell you how many years the kids have not put their names on the board. So now as part of the rubric, they get 5 points for putting their name on the board. And then the problem and solution statement. Basically, what's the problem? How did you solve it? And then they need to have the procedures or steps. Now this is just an example. They may not have 10. They may have less than 10. They may have more than 10. You can add pictures on there. It can be in words, drawings. They need to have the materials they use. Again, it can be less or more than 6. It's just an example. And then they need to have their inventor's logs, intent to invent, and research sheet, which I'll go over in just a minute. So this all needs to be on the board somewhere. It doesn't have to be in this order. They can arrange it however they want. This is just an example so you know how it should look. Okay? Any questions up to this point so far? Am I doing okay, Derek? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, here we go. So that's the display board example. Here's how we're gonna grade it. Oh boy, I know, it's a big rubric. Don't hurt me afterwards, just kidding. It is 200 points, this project. So it's the end of the year final project. And 60 of those points is for the working model. So the working model they create that solves the problem is 60 points, like the shoe compass I showed you. And then 70 points is everything on the display board. So they get 5 points for their title, 5 points for their name, ding, 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 ding. And conventions, which is spelling and grammar, is 10 points. And then their problem and solution statement is 15. Materials listed is 15. Procedures are 15. And then neatness is 5. So that's everything on the display board. And I kind of broke it down. So if they're missing their problem and solution statement, they're going to lose 15 points on their project. Is that clear? And then the rest of it is their inventor's logs and these other sheets, which I'm going to talk about, and that is 60 points. Now they get 10 points for turning this in on time. Oh my gosh. I know. And if it's late, it's minus 5 points a day. It will not get judged and it will not be put on display for the whole day for everyone to see. Now if your kid is sick that day, we won't ding them, don't worry. But if you know you're going to be out that day, I would recommend turning it in a day early to their science teacher so we can set it up for them. Okay, if you know you're going to be out on Wednesday, May 3rd. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on the rubric? It's pretty self-explanatory. So are we good? All right, let's move on. So this next page, maybe, come on, oh there we go. is called the brainstorming page. This is where kids need to start brainstorming problems they see around their house or at home or at school that bug them. An example, my mom is always losing her keys. Okay, she's 73, but still, she's lost her keys for like the last 10 years and she can never find them. That's a problem. How can you solve that? Maybe you lose remotes at your house. Maybe you got a problem with your Xbox. Maybe you have an issue with cooking or cleaning or in the bathroom with your toothbrush. Or you have an issue with your little brothers or sisters, or a pet. Okay, you could have a problem with a pet. Simple things that you can solve. It can be even at school. I don't have supplies all the time. I don't have my pencil, okay? So they need to list out things that bug them and then ways they can solve them. When we do the first check-in with the kids, we have like a little conference, I asked them to look at this sheet and I go over what they got and I tell them, oh, I really like this idea. Or maybe you should try this one, okay? Now the other ones are like backup ideas, okay, in case that one doesn't work. But this is just a way to get their thoughts out and start looking at home or at school at things that bug them. Okay? All right, let's move on. These are questions they need to ask before or during their project. Is my idea a new idea or is it an innovation? Like I said, most of your kids will do innovations, like putting the compass and the shoe together, okay? And then, does my idea solve a problem? How will my invention work? Will my invention be useful? Can my invention even be made? I mean, can I make a working model out of this? Is the model working the right way? How can I make it work better? Can I make it more attractive? And the big one, is it safe to use? We don't want any sharp objects like knives, fire, matches, explosives, please, none of that. Believe me, the kids ask me everything. Can I use nitrogen? No, you cannot. Can I use this chemical? Are you kidding me? That was mostly my advanced class, by the way. But, right, Benjamin? Yeah. So, again, nothing unsafe, please, okay? We need to use science safety here. So nothing that's flammable, things like that. Sharp objects, knives, nothing that you wouldn't bring to school. And then if they say yes to most of these questions, they're on the right track. If they say no, they maybe need to look back and maybe look at other ideas. This is a trial and error process. Your kids might get frustrated, I'm sorry. But Einstein didn't come up with his theories in one day. It's going to take them time to work things out and see if it'll work, and that's where your support comes in. We really appreciate it, okay? And I'll support him too, don't worry. All right, so that's that, and now we're going to move to the inventor's log. There's about 8 of these in your packets. These are kind of like the kids' rough drafts. So let's say Derek here wakes up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. He's got a great idea. He grabs his packet. He writes down his place. I'm in my bed at 2 a.m. Here's my idea. He starts drawing some things about what he dreamt about or something. Then say, Millie, where are you, Millie? Millie's in Miss Strawby's class. It's math. Oh no, don't tell her. She has a great idea. She sneakily pulls out her packet. She starts writing things down. Don't tell Miss Strawby, I told you this. And she writes down her idea. I'm in math class. Here's my idea, okay? Or maybe Elizabeth, I saw you just walk in. Elizabeth, you have an idea sitting at the dinner table or cooking, right? Pull out your packet, start writing it down. What do I need? Draw some pictures, okay? Things like that. So these are kind of like the rough drafts. Now, they need to have 4 of these logs on their board. 2 of them could be about the project they've actually made. The other ones could be other ideas that didn't work out. We kind of want to see that process. So I had a kid have 30 ideas once. I'm not kidding you. Now they can retype this. They can redo it in a different format. They don't have to do it on this format. But it's kind of like their rough drafts, getting their ideas down. Here's an example of one. My favorite one, the boot plunger. Yeah, here's the boot plunger. This kid had an issue with their toilet, apparently. And I'm not going to judge. And they couldn't get enough force doing it the old-fashioned way, so you use your foot, and you get more force. And so here's where this was his inventor's log. They wrote down what they needed, where they needed to go to buy the supplies. They kind of drew out a picture, you know what I mean? So this is kind of their idea, all right? And so that's just one way, that's a drawing. Some kids will put pictures on there. I've had some kids redo the whole inventor's log in their own format, and that's fine. Okay, but I did give you about 8 of these. Oh, come on, clicker. I bet I gave the kids about 8 of these to get their ideas down. Now again, they only need 4 on the board. That's the minimum. They can have more. I told you I had a kid that 30. But again, That's what the inventor's logs are for. They're like the rough drafts, okay? So they have that brilliant idea in the middle of the night, like Derek here, at 2 a.m., they can just write it down and jot it down, okay? Any questions on the logs?
Is the log going to be on the board?
Yes, they will be on the board. So I'll go back to that in just a minute once I get through everything, okay? Yeah, thank you, that's a good question. All right, so after all the logs, if you go forward to almost the very end, there's the intent to invent sheet. This is just a little contract between the science teachers and the students saying that they're going to practice science safety rules. So they basically just write out quickly about their invention, and it helps the judges too. And then they sign it saying they're going to follow science safety. So, you know, I don't want like Miles back there using a chainsaw on his own without like parent permission or support, right, Miles? We don't need to lose any fingers, you know. So again, I don't want your children using some tool that they're not allowed to use. They need to follow science safety. Obviously, that's where your support comes in. I don't think Miles is going to be using a chainsaw. Just kidding. Yeah. But anyway, you know, again, we want them to follow science safety. So it's kind of a little contract. This will need to go on the board as well, and I'll go back to the board picture in a minute. They can rework that any way they want. Again, it doesn't have to be in this format, okay? All right, the last page of the packet. Oh my gosh, we've actually made it to the last page. I know. It's the research page. Now this is where your kid has to go online, maybe to Google, Amazon, see if their invention actually exists. Maybe they go to Target, Walmart, Home Depot, Ace, go check it out in the store. Do you know what I mean? Does this thing exist? Now let's say they do and they get all bummed. Can they change it and tweak it and make it their own? Yes, they can, okay? But again, they do need to kind of research to see if what they created is actually out there. So they need to jot down 3 ways they research. 2 can be on the internet or on the store, however they want to do it. They need to sign off on it that they've actually done that, okay? And this also needs to go on the board as well. So I'm going to go back to the display board display right now. And let's get back there. Okay, so you see we have inventor's logs, intent to invent, and the research sheet. They can put them in different formats. Some kids put them in a little pocket. Some just glue them on the board, staple them, however they want to put them on there, it's up to them, okay? But they do need to be on the board. And if you look at the rubric here, they need to have a minimum of 4 log sheets, which are their ideas. It could be different ideas, it doesn't matter. It could be all 4 of the same idea. They just had to use 4 sheets. That's fine, okay? But all of this is on the board, on the display board. So there you go. And again, they can arrange it any way they want. And yeah, we'll be checking in with them every week. Now there are a few things. The invention needs to maybe fit in the cafeteria. I made a big whoopsie my first year teaching and forgot to tell the kids that. I literally had a mom bring a thing in the back of her truck that was probably as high as the stage. And it's because they worked at a junkyard and her kid created something that would move stuff in a junkyard. Oh, it was huge. We couldn't get it in the cafeteria. I had to grade it right there in the back of her truck. I was so embarrassed. So please, it's gotta fit through the doors. Now, if we need to set it up on the stage or the floor, it should maybe just sit in front of the board if possible, but we can always put it on the floor or the stage. And another thing, if they do anything with pets, I love animals, don't get me wrong, nothing against animals. I have a dog and a tortoise and a roach. Well, we don't have one right now, but a hissing cockroach. But if they do anything with their animals, please do not bring them on the day of the invention. I'm not going to be responsible for your child's pet. If they do something with the cage, great, bring the cage, but don't bring the pet in it. Don't bring your fishies, your dogs, your cats, your bearded dragons. I mean, you can bring the thing they made for it, the model, and some kids use like stuffed animals to show how it looks on them, or they just to put the pictures on the board, how it looks on the animal. Does that make sense? Then they have the actual working model in front of the board. But please, don't bring your pets to school. They're really not allowed. And again, I'm not going to be, our teachers aren't going to be responsible for them. Yeah. And the kids are like, what about ants? I said, no ants. We got enough ant problem here at the school. We don't need any more, okay? So, you can do things with your pets, of course, but just don't bring the pets on that day, please, all right? And then if there's a few things I need to talk about, so if your kid decides to do something that cannot fit in the cafeteria, we've had a few. I had a student years ago who created a screen cover for their air conditioning unit. And it kept it shaded so when it deteriorated as bad. Great solution. She couldn't bring it in, so she put pictures of it on her board, and then she created a scale model to put in front of it. So if your kid does create something very large, which is possible, and we can't get it in here, you do need to have pictures on the board showing it in real life, but then you can also do a scale model if needed, okay? So that was the one thing in years past. There are a few things I don't ever want to see again, no offense, but one of them, I'm going to show you right now, is sponge gloves. I had 30 of these one year. Yeah, no more sponge gloves. Or sponge shoes. Those are just overdone, sorry guys. They're just like one of those things that are kind of like done over and over again. And then one more thing we see a lot of. Pooper scooper ideas are great, but the remote controlled car pooper scoopers, we get a lot of those. So please no more remote controlled car pooper scoopers. I don't really want to see Barbie driving a car with a pooper scooper on it anymore. I've seen enough of those. I know, a Barbie car with a, so I've seen a lot of those, unfortunately. So the sponge glove idea and the pooper scooper on the electronic car, it's overdone, sorry, kind of overdone. But if you have other ideas with pooper scoopers, great. You know, poop is a problem, I get it. I know, I'm a science teacher, right, Millie? So again, those are just a few things you want to kind of avoid because I've seen too many of them. And I want kids to be more creative and think outside the box. And these are just ones that are really overdone. Okay? So we're gonna try to avoid the sponge gloves and the remote control pooper scoopers. If you got another good way to pick up poop, I'm all for it. I'll probably use it with my dog. Okay? So, let me think if I missed anything else. Kids, what did I talk about everything just about? Animals, that, scale model. Oh, we're gonna talk about a few inventions here. So one of my favorites is the fly be gone. This girl's problem was, after you kill a fly, you either waste toilet paper, tissues, paper towels, or have to get a dustpan to pick it up. Well, her invention is, she put a turkey baster and a fly swatter together in one. So you swat the fly, suck it up with the turkey baster, and then shoot it into the garbage. Now, she even had some dead flies here to test out on, and she wrote in here, freshly killed flies work better. And I still have the little bits and pieces of the flies in the jar. I know it's a little disgusting, but this was her example, I know. And when they were more fresh, it actually did work. They're deteriorated now. But again, very simple innovation, okay? She put two things together, her board is great. She's got her problem and solution. She retyped her intent to invent. She has a little pouch here for her logs. She even put flies on her board. I mean, the name's great, Fly Be Gone, okay? That's a really good one. This one is called the No Mess Tire Covers. This one, the kid's mom did not like it when he brought his muddy bike into the garage, so they just got the floors redone, I think, or something like that, I can't remember. So he created two different patterns, this one, and this one with flowers. And you put the covers on the bike, on the tires, and then they don't get any mud on the floors. So his dad and him actually welded this to put the tire on and put it in front of the board, and there you have it. So some of these boards, display items, I don't have the projects for because the kids kept them, or they just donated both, or just the board. And then another one that's really simple. This one is so good. It's called the Screw Keeper. This kid moved a lot, and he had a big wooden bed frame that he'd take apart, take all the screws out. They didn't want to lose the screws when they moved. So he created a little box, or he put the screws in a little plastic box, and he took double-sided Velcro, and he stuck it on the back of the board, or the bedroom board, the wood. And when it got moved, the screws went with it, so they wouldn't lose them. Very simple idea, but ingenious. I mean, I think movers should be like selling this thing. So that one's really good. The H2 Glow is another one. This kid's problem, his little brother and sister were scared of the dark and also got thirsty at night. So he solved two problems. He put a water bottle and some like lights on it together so they would glow at night like a night light, and then they could find water. And he kept it because his little brother and sister were still using it. They were like 3 or 4. Yeah. So I have the board. We already talked about the boot plunger. The Scorpion Boss. I don't have this one, but this kid kid took one of those trash picker-uppers you grab the trash with. He put a black light on the end of it and a jar. He lived near the preserve, I think, in the desert, and he had a lot of scorpions in his house. He went around searching for scorpions, would grab them with the grabber, stick them in the jar, and then just get rid of them. I mean, genius, but again, he's still using it probably to this day. I don't know. This is quite a few years ago. And then the stick-it armband. This kid was always losing his supplies. So he put this armband on, he's got his supplies right there. And he stuck it right on his board. I mean, some of these are just right on the board, which is great, or they can sit in front, or if you need to, we can put it on the floor or the stage. And then, yeah, we can look at these other ones here. Some really great ones. The olive stuffer supreme is another good one. This one, the mother liked to stuff blue cheese, I think, inside olives, but she had a problem doing it. So this girl took a syringe, she cut the top of it off with an X-Acto knife, put the cheese into the syringe, and you just plunge it right into the olive. Genius, and it was a great way to solve her mother's problem in the kitchen with stuffing olives with cheese. I know. I mean, apparently her mother had a lot of parties with cheese and olives. So, again, I don't judge, just kidding. Now, this one, the garden grabber. This girl grew a lot of artichokes, and those are very thorny, and they're really hard to cut. So she created this garden grabber, where the tongs basically cut the stalk of the artichoke, and then it would fall into the little basket here on it, and it would catch it. So she didn't have to touch it and get thorns in her. So this solved her problem with getting the artichokes out of her garden. So pretty innovative. And again, all of these are pretty much A work, and a lot of them got ribbons. So yeah, any questions before we wrap this up? Trying to use my clicker and it's not working, but that's okay. Any questions? All right, I will be selling display boards. I don't have very many, so if your kid doesn't get one tonight, don't freak out. They can get one tomorrow. For $4 each. I only take cash, or you can write out a check to the PTO, but I'm sorry, I don't do any other technology because this goes to the school. So I don't do the Venmo, and I don't have the card swiper thing, sorry. I'm not that techie. But if you would like to purchase one tonight or just want to look around at the different ideas here, that's great. But thank you again for coming. Wow, I got done with that in 30 minutes. I'm proud of myself. All right, so I thank you guys for your support on this project. If you have any questions, you can email me or your science teacher. And I appreciate you coming. Thank you.